Whenever you're talking to people, say what you have to say, but once they start replying back to you, completely ignore it. It can't possibly be interesting or important. In fact, it is critical that you use this time to prepare for what you're going to say once they're done. Think very hard about what absolutely genius thing you're going to say next. Also, make it really obvious that this is exactly what you're doing by not showing any form of acknowledgement once they're done, and if you can, start your next thought even if they're not quite finished with their final sentence. Whenever you're around people, complain a lot. If you're meeting someone after work for dinner, make sure you tell them all about how horrible it is to work where you work. If you can, also throw in some unpleasant facts about your family for extra bonus points. It's not enough that you're drained after a long day of work, you can't possibly be happy until the other person is completely drained as well. Make sure to not make any effort to remember people's names. It's not like you can make them feel like you care if you do. If this task requires that you put in extra effort or figure out a way to get better at this, come up with an excuse to not take responsibility. One that works really well is the following. All you have to do is say this magic sentence. Sorry, but I'm not good with names. This somehow completely takes away any need to make an effort, and hey, now you're the victim. Congratulations.
Hi, I'm Susanne Madsen. Welcome to this whiteboard session on how to influence different types of people. In order to look at the different types of people we have, I have drawn up a matrix, and we're going to go through 4 different types of people. We're all a mix of all of them, but let's see if you can spot which one is most descriptive of yourself. On your left-hand side, you will see that we have someone who is task-oriented, detail-oriented, and a thinker. And on your right-hand side, we have someone who is much more people-oriented, big picture, and a feeler. Towards the bottom of the screen, we have someone who is more reserved and slow-paced. And at the top, we have the opposite, someone who's outgoing and assertive and much more fast-paced. That gives us these 4 basic types. Let's start with the red, with the driver. The driver is detail-oriented, but impatient in an organization that typically your CEO types. They like results, and the way to influence them is by getting to the point quickly. They like the detail, but they don't have time for the detail, which is a bit of a dichotomy. So give them the executive summary and bullets and let them drive the rest. Let them ask into the detail. Tell them that you have it, and you must absolutely also have it with you. Never say you have it without having the detail there. Now moving to the yellow personality type. These are expressives. They're outgoing, fast, but they're people-oriented, they're feelers. In an organization that typically your salespeople and your marketing people, they like fun. So how to influence them? Well, don't send them long, detailed emails because they may never check their email and certainly not read it if it's a long one. What they would appreciate is that you drop by their desk or you give them a quick phone call. And when you speak to them, make it a bit more fun and outgoing. Make them talk, they like to talk. Ask them how they're doing, how their weekend was. So make it a little bit more lighthearted before you get down to business. Now let's move down and look at the green personality type. These are amiables. Amiables are more reserved and slow-paced, but they're still feelers. These people don't like too much change. They're really all about harmony. They're great listeners, great team players, and in an organization, they're typically your HR professionals or caring professionals. The way to influence them is to sit down, have a one-on-one conversation, and ask them how they're feeling, and give them time to consider their responses. They do not appreciate being put on the spot. Remember, harmony is very important to them. Moving to the last personality type, the blue. These are analyticals. They're driven by compliance and by doing things right. In an organization, they're typically your IT professionals or your accountants and analysts. They are driven by detail and they're reserved. So a good way to influence them is actually through the written media, through email, and they do appreciate the detail. So you can imagine now what happens if someone from a sales department calls someone from the technical department and says, can you give me a quick estimate by 4 o'clock? Now, these people down here don't do quick estimates. They like to do things thoroughly and properly, and that takes time. So such a message is going to frustrate them quite a lot. So my question to you now is, which personality type are you? Are you predominantly red, yellow, green or blue? That's important because you will tend to communicate from your own preference. But what needs to happen if you want to really influence people is that you need to adapt your style to wherever your stakeholder is, or the senior executive or your team member, wherever that person is that you want to influence. Adapt your style. Thank you for watching.
As you can see, 2 important skills to influence someone is first to identify their natural communication and decision-making tendencies, and then to adapt your style to match theirs. GPLT considers influencing skills to be a key leadership competency. How people manage their thoughts and emotions and express their ideas are clues that you can pick up on. The following chart displays style attributes that are clues to identifying a person's dominant style. You can use these attributes to tailor your approach based on your desired outcome. If you look at the primary style attributes of drivers in the red shaded area, you can see that their communication orientation is direct. They look for opportunities to hit measurable targets. When dealing with conflict, they tend to confront with reason. To build credibility with them, you should be pragmatic and be candid to build trust. While they tend to be efficient, they are also pragmatic in making decisions. They also prefer to speak directly with people rather than by emails and appreciate a direct, concise approach. Take a moment and look at how these style attributes differ for expressives, amiables and analyticals. Remember, to improve your influencing skills, it is important to be able to identify a person's natural communication and decision-making tendencies, and then to adapt your style to match theirs.